What's up YouTube? Capital G here, talking about some very interesting, unique, and just very crazy things that have come out in the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG over the past 24 to 48 hours. I know most of the Yu-Gi-Tubers are talking about the brand new mutant archetype, and I watched some of Ruggles' video about the archetype. Looks very interesting and promising, but I figured everyone's talking about that. Why don't I just be a mad lad and talk about something completely off the wall and do a video on just some troll and crazy OCG duelist who actually took Celtic Guardian control to an OCG tournament and got second place, amongst other things. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. Maybe I'll do the mutant video, maybe not. I'm sure there will be more than enough Yu-Gi tubers covering that archetype if you guys really want to know about it. But this video is brought to you by the Fatal Core trading card game. The Fatal Core online TCG has been growing rapidly over the last year, and now the developers are proud to present a full Steam release scheduled for early 2021. Fatal Core is 100% free of purchases and offers login bonuses just for signing in, so it's really easy to get access to their huge card pool of interesting and powerful creature and spell cards. Fatal Core also has an online marketplace where users can safely sell, buy, and trade their cards for in-game currency, and the dynamic visuals, which are definitely on display anytime you open packs, are just a wonder to behold. Fatal Core also has a tutorial mode to help you learn the game and 3 separate ways to get in on the battle action. Whether you're spectating, playing ranked, or taking on the AI to better get a hang of things, you'll be met with Fatal Core's fast and incredible gameplay. Fatal Core also features simultaneous play, which means neither player gets an advantage just for going first. Battles, summons, and even spells are played at the same exact time. This leads to exciting, unpredictable, and insanely fun battles that you are going to be addicted to. Fatal Core has 6 different lead characters to choose from who all have their own unique playstyles, abilities, and strengths to keep things interesting, but also come with weaknesses to stay balanced at the same time. And I haven't even mentioned the special field layouts that can give the players and creatures bonus effects. Sign up for Fatal Core today at fatalcoretcg.com or by using the link in the description below, and look out for the Steam release early next year. But yeah, let's talk about some of the other things that happened over the past couple of days that I found to be interesting. Most notably was what you guys are looking at. So this actually got second place in the OCG at a tournament called the 5th OGCS. And you know what? Some of you guys are like, Cap G out here trolling us. There is zero chance that in this competitive meta, whether you play OCG, TCG, or on the freaking moon, that you actually can have any amount of success playing Celtic Guardian. And guys, the proof is right here in the pudding. This actually this actually happened. Someone took freaking Celtic Guardian to a tournament and beat competitive decks like Altergeist and Shadows with super polys and stuff like that. Now look, I mean, before I really get into it, I honestly think this guy was just straight up trolling. I think he did this on a dare or because he lost a bet or something like that, because it's not like he just played Celtic Guardian. He literally played every single Celtic Guardian card in Yu-Gi-Oh! He played the obnoxious Celtic Guardian. He even played the Celtic Guard of Noble Arms, the really weird one where you can only attack if you have like no cards in your hand, and then you can draw cards if it does damage, equivalent to the Celtic Guard cards that you have on the field. It's like a really weird card, and it's kind of difficult to use, although it maybe makes some sense if you have a triple card demise, because obviously this is OCG format. We only got this card at limited status, so we have 1, but in the OCG you got 3, and most decks that play card demise don't keep a very, they don't keep a high hand count. They put all their cards on the field, so theoretically it could kind of make sense that maybe you would use card demise, draw your cards, put everything on the field, attack your opponent with this guy, draw some more cards. And I just thought that was weird. But obviously a bunch of Celtic Guardians, I mean, I don't care what year it is, probably is not going to make a competitive deck, so we did lock things down by playing some barrier statue cards. And speaking as somebody who once went 7-2 at regionals playing barrier statues, I think this was like 2005 or 2015. I mean, barrier statues are still really good, man. I know that you really can't play the light and dark ones for like obvious reasons, but usually in most metagames, there's like 2 or 3 of the barrier statues that are incredibly good because no one really plays those types. And I'd be a little I don't know. I don't know if I would play this Earth one, but the rest of his monsters are Earth, so I kind of see that. And he also plays Scapegoat. Like, if you were playing the Fire Barrier statue right now, no, ain't nobody really playing fire decks, or maybe even the water one if you can avoid Mermail. But I do think dinosaurs for the most part are Earth. But anyways, in this build, all his monsters are Earth, and he also has Scapegoat, which is obviously another mass summoning card, which, if nothing else, even if he does have the Earth Barrier statue, he can turn these goat tokens into like a Mrs. Radiant plus like maybe a Link Spider, and then all his monsters will be getting, a 500 attack as well. He played this really interesting card. This is Super Magic Sword of Raptinus, which I believe Raptinus is that fusion Gemini monster. Like, it's not technically a Gemini, but it basically is like the Gemini support in fusion form. And this guy actually, it can change the battle positions of any monsters that it's equipped to, and when it's in attack mode, your opponent can't target it, and if it's in defense mode, they can't destroy it by battle. I'm thinking that he mainly put it on the Earth Barrier statue, and then just kind of had it sit in defense mode so that it could never be destroyed by battle. Now, when I played barrier statues way back when, I used to play like Moon Mirror Shield, and I was kind of surprised he didn't play that in this build, because Moon Mirror Shield plus a barrier statue, like, your opponent's just not gonna have a good day. And he even side decked things like Inspector Border and Jogan the Spiritualist, and Moon Mirror Shield on those cards just makes it like even better. He played a bunch of like really kind of throwback traps. When you look at his trap lineup, I mean, this is like the epitome of caveman Yu-Gi-Oh! Anytime you see Mirror Force in this day and age, I think you are immediately taken aback. You're just like, what? We still play these? I know we have so many different Mirror Forces, but almost none of them see play. And I think the theory is, if your opponent does find monsters or does have ways of actually outing your barrier statues, or maybe even your obnoxious Celtic Guardians, or Celtic Guard, you just want to have like ways of getting those cards off the field. So I'm thinking he wanted removal cards, or he wanted trap cards that can just take away his opponent's monsters, like get them off the field. You can just activate evac device at any point. Your opponent attacks, Stormy Mirror Force, bounce that card. This also deals with established fields. And then Crackdown, same thing. So these are not just spot removal cards, but they can deal with monsters that are already on the field. And then he just has like so many different Solemns. These all stop normal summons, and then the one Solemn Strike, which technically, if you have Solemn Strike plus a Mirror Force, you can take out basically any board that your opponent makes. It doesn't matter how many negations they have. Most of the negation boards that people build right now are going to be built off the back of a bunch of monsters having negations. None of those cards can stop spell speed 3s, which of course Solemn Strike is. And then he, kind of topped the deck off with Imperial Order, which kind of looks counterproductive at first, but like basically in these type of decks, if you're walling up, the main cards that are going to break your board for the most part, well, unless it's this card, Evenly Matched, the card that's going to probably break your board are things like Feather Duster, Lightning Storm, Raigeki. So a lot of those end up falling to Imperial Order. So you know what? Moral of the story is, just when you think competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Is completely unplayable, there's always somebody out there who will give you the slightest glimmer of hope. And yeah, let's go ahead and do some card reviews right now. So I think this card is really good, and I think at first glance, some people might be like, you sure about that, Cap G? Isn't this just kind of like a glorified version of Blackhorn Heaven? Because the second effect of this card basically is Blackhorn Heaven. It can stop, those inherent special summons, whether it be one monster like a Cyber Dragon or 5 monsters like a Pendulum Summon. And this card, of course, can just send itself to the graveyard, and you can go ahead and get rid of all those monsters. But in addition to that, obviously, it can attack, which, things like Blackhorn Heaven cannot do. But if this card is ever beating your opponent down and they simply run it over, then you're most certainly going to be guaranteed, at least, I'm not going to say all the time, but a lot of times you're going to be guaranteed to get a 1-for-1, because you get to destroy the monster that your opponent used to destroy this in battle. So it means that in some situations, even if your opponent is going really aggressive, you can use this card to block an attack, and then also it gets that 1-for-1 because you get to kill your opponent's its attacking monsters. So I really like this card. I think you can definitely experiment with this in like defensive decks that play a lot of traps, like maybe Paleo Frogs, where this could, potentially not just serve as more offense because it does have 1800 attack, but in a deck like Paleo Frogs where you really need your normal summon for that swap frog, I mean, imagine having this plus a totally awesome. Now you got two negations, and I think that's really, really strong. Or maybe in like the El Dorado deck, if you wanted to play this in pure Eldlick, maybe by the time we get Blazing Vortex, Halifibrax, and all that trash will be out of the game, and El Dorado can play more slow and defensive. This is, just kind of one of those trap monsters that definitely can be excellent for that deck. We have a new Constellar card, which, this felt like it kind of came out of nowhere. Okay, so this is a nice little addition to Constellars. If nothing else, it gives that deck an extender, which it desperately needed, because Constellars is extremely normal summon reliant, and a lot of times if your normal summon is, disrupted, you're going to be in a world of trouble. I like the second effect, how you can just get a Speller Trap, a Constellar Speller Trap from your deck to your hand. The problem is, man, I went through and I looked at the Constellar spells and traps because off the top of my head, I really couldn't think of like one good one. And I was like, oh my God, they're all bad. I was like, I think that's the reason why I can't think of any of the good ones, because we all know like Evil Swarm, which is kind of like the, the other side of the DT for the XC mechanic. But like Evil Swarm has really good spells and traps. And that's why like Ophion's effect was always really solid. Detach and get like Pandemic or Infestation or something like that. Constellars, they're gonna need better spells and traps for that effect to like really feel good, unless you're just using that search to, like you're using the free search as like discard fodder or something like that. Now when you go into a Constellar XC, getting the ability to, kill dark and light monsters and banish them before damage calculation, that feels pretty solid as well. Does this ultimately move the needle for Constellars? Not really, of course not. But it definitely is still a nice little piece of support. But Konami definitely got to work on those spells and traps. Anyways, whatever you guys thought of any of this stuff that I talked about, you leave that in the comment section below, and thank you guys for watching.